or you may have already done this in prepping for today, but if you did download the printables that I recommended, you should cut out all of these images and have them ready to go. Same if you have the bonus class printables, you can trim all of these out as well. Now let's talk the ones that have no color in them. I printed these out 4 to a sheet. I am just going to sit down and color these, and I am going to trim them down to about a 3x4 card. I believe I recommended that in the prep. I'm just going to use pencil crayons or colored pencils to color these. You can use Copics if you printed with a Copic friendly printer ink. If you printed these on watercolor paper, you could use watercolors. Basically, whatever medium you have, go to town. So let me go and color those. The image is quite small, so I only used 2 colors for the yellow, 2 colors for the green, and I used a brown for the center. And what you see me doing here now is just kind of making a water line in the jar, and I'm trying to make it slightly curved to represent the curve of the jar. It's really more just a wash of color to give a hint of it to the water to represent that it's there than I'm doing anything special. Okay, so I just wanted to show you how I ended up coloring this. I said I was going to do colored pencils, and I changed my mind and used Copics because, well, it was just faster and the printing held up, so that is pretty awesome. I'm actually going to add some glossy accents on top of the mason jar, so that will take a few minutes to dry. So in the meantime, let's move on to something else. For these sentiments here, you can trim out whatever ones you want. Of course, if you have stamps, feel free to use those. Maybe pre-stamp a few, or at least have the stamp sets pulled and ready to go. Some of these are not going to be appropriate for the kind of cards that we have. For instance, Merry Christmas. This is really not a Christmas themed, but thank you, congratulations, just because, get well, thinking of you, all kind of will fit within this kind of sunflower fall theme. Happy Father's Day. Sunflowers would work, I guess. Mother's Day definitely would work. Not so much maybe the pumpkins. But, you know, this is just for your use if you don't have stamps. Let's talk about coloring the leaves. I gave you guys, or the printable gives you a lot of options. I printed them in 2 different sizes to give me some flexibility. You can do a couple different things with these, and what I'm going to do is I am going to split these, and I will show you 3 different ways that you can color these. Okay, so the first way I'm going to show you are using spray stains. I've got a little bit of wilted violet, or I've got wilted violet in oxide, mustard seed in oxide, and rustic wilderness in oxide. And to add just a little bit of pizzazz, I've got tea from Heidi Swap and gold Heidi Swap. Now, here's the thing, you guys. I printed these on cardstock and not particularly thick cardstock, so there is going to probably be some sort of warping, and I'm okay with that because if you think about it, leaves, when they fall off the tree and are drying up, they get a lot of texture to them, so I'm okay. That being said, I don't want to inundate this excessively so. The other thing to keep in mind is because I'm using oxide sprays, they do have like a pigment in them. They're not just a pure dye. And so, you know, some of the sharpness of the lines or the veining in the leaves is going to disappear. The other thing I am going to do is I am just going to mist it very lightly with some water and couple skirts of the green, couple squirts of the yellow. Now, purple. I bet you're going, why on earth did you bring purple into the mix? And I did that because there's purple in the collection, and I want to use this very sparingly. I don't want to do a lot of purple, so I am just going to kind of tap and splatter. We aren't necessarily going for realism here. We can be a little bit artistic. The color Shine Tea Kind of has that similar look to the bronze paper in the collection. And the same deal with this one. We are just going to flick dots instead of spray. And we're going to do the same with the gold. Okay, I think that's good enough. So once these dry, we will trim them out and we will have some leaf embellishments. Another way that we can color these pretty quickly is with a blending brush and some inks. So let's start. This is probably a little less messier than the sprays. And again, I'm not worried about even coverage or anything like that. I am just, I actually want it to be kind of modeled because that's how leaves are. But again, we're not going for super photorealistic here. This is mustard seed, a rustic wilderness, and I've got some gathered twigs. Now when I trim these out, I am not going to trim them with a halo. What I mean is I'm going to trim right along the edge. If I cut off, I probably will cut off the stem. I'm okay with that. If you want to leave a halo, that's fine. There's nothing that says you can't. I'm not sure if I'm going to have like nice coverage all the way around, and it might look a little bit weird, so I think I might just trim it close to the edge of the leaf. So the yellow cardstock in the collection is really quite bright, so I'm just going to go back in and just kind of brighten this up a little bit and blend everything. Okay, now let's do the brown. And I'm going to be very sparing, I hope, with the brown. I don't really want a ton. Maybe just a little bit around the edges. That went pretty quick. What we're going to do now is we're going to use a spray bottle and we're going to do some splatters. Okay, so I've got my spray bottle. I'm just going to do a light misting from afar, and then I'm going to do the flick technique. Just see what we've got. Of course, we can always go back in and add more. It's just I am using cardstock, so I just want to be very careful. See, I've got some running here. I just use an inkjet printer, so it's not color fast. So I think maybe we're just going to do a couple more flicks. Actually, before putting these aside to dry, I decided that I'm also going to add some color shine. This is in the gold. Again, just some splatters. Seems like most splatters are ending up outside of the leaves. Isn't that funny how that happens? Okay, that looks good. And we'll move on to technique number 3. Okay, so the third technique that I'm going to show you is just with alcohol markers. Now, I'm going to warn you right now, you need to test this out based on how you print these out. Obviously, if you're using a stamp, make sure you proper ink so that you don't have bleeding. I don't think I'm going to get too much bleeding. Didn't look like it from my initial sample, but I could end up with it. And I'm okay with that because, again, it's okay if it looks a little bit muddy because these are leaves. So I'm going to keep these super simple coloring. I've got green, ignore these. I've got green and yellow. I only have 2 shades. So this is Y13 and I have Y15 for the greens. I have YG17 and G28. And I am literally, because I'm going to trim these out against the line, I am literally going to color that fast. Now my markers are getting dry. I need to buy some ink refills. Okay, we're going to do the same with the green. Okay, once you've got your base color down, we're just going to go in with the darker shade. And we are just going to, again, very simply, kind of from the middle, flick outwards. We're not going for like true artistic work here. Obviously, if you want to invest the time in that, go for it. But I'm just going for quick and easy. While that's still wet, we're going to take the light color again, and we're just going to go over this just to kind of blend it. And that is going to be as much as I'm going to do for these. Maybe add some gold color shine to keep it consistent. I don't know. What do you guys think? Okay, I will be back to show you the end result of all 3 sets after they've been trimmed out. Okay, I wanted to share with you how these leaves turned out now that they're all trimmed out. These are the sprays, this is the Distress ink, and these are the Copic markers. And I wanted to just go over again how you can see the lines are a little bit muted because of the pigment ink in them. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is how when you trim right against the edge, sometimes you can see like the reflection of the white. If that really bothers you, or if you don't trim it great, you can just take a black marker and just kind of go around the edges, and that will get rid of that kind of halo. And it's usually easier to go this way because if you accidentally slip, you're going to get it on the back side instead of on the front. Okay, that's something that you may want to do if it really bothers you. And if you want the colors to be a little bit more saturated, you can of course go over that with your pen. I probably will not do this, but I just want to show you what it looks like so that you can make an informed decision. Okay, I prefer the more muted tone. So I wanted to share with you also that I have indeed trimmed out all the free printables. So these will be going in there as well. And we will be using these to complete the cards and the layouts during the classes coming up. I also have this image done and it's completely dried. If you're participating in the bonus class, just to prove that I'm not making you do something that I wouldn't be willing to do, there are the bonus class printables. And of course we have all the embellishments that we made in this class, as well as whatever stickers are left and the dimensionals. And if you purchased any of the items that I showed you earlier, I do have some dimensional stickers. These were all purchased at Hobby Lobby. Some wood veneer leaves, wood veneer owls, some more sunflowers, some sequin leaves, lots of options. So I would encourage you to search through your stash, pull out things that you think might coordinate with the papers that you chose or with the Creative Memories collection, and stay tuned for the next class, which will be all on scrapbook layouts.